Hello and welcome to Lightroom Profiles. In this tutorial, we'll learn a little bit more about this new feature that they added in April of 2018 and then they updated just recently. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this used to be called Camera Profiles, and it was buried down in the Calibration menu. And I don't know about you, but I rarely go to the Calibration menu, so you might not even know that this existed. And they also updated it and added 80 creative presets. So that's what we're going to focus on in this tutorial. So now if you pop open the basic module, you'll notice it's right here. It's renamed Profile, and the menu is right at the top, so they made it much more discoverable. And if you pop open that menu, the first 6 items here are their raw profiles. So these only work or show up on raw files. If you have a JPEG or a TIFF, you won't see these options. And so by default, your images come in Adobe Color. Now, I am not a huge fan of Adobe Color. I feel like it makes my skin tones very orangey yellowy. So one way to fix that in RAW is just to go down to Adobe Portrait, and it just kind of reduces the yellows and maximizes the look of the skin tones. It's a very subtle shift, but I think it looks really good. Now, Adobe Monochrome is what they consider the perfect starting place to start editing your black and whites. It's not, you don't just make it monochrome and go and then, export it and you're good. This is the starting place. And then you go make your edits on top of this. But what I really want to focus on today is the creative profiles. And they didn't really name this very well. You find this under Browse. So click that open. And you'll see here that we've got different color, artistic, modern, and vintage are the color creative profiles. And then under black and white, we have black and white. And there's 17 different profiles here. So when I hover over the black and white, you can see different versions of black and white. And you'll see some have blacker blacks, some have more matted, muted blacks, some have bright highlights, some have less bright highlights. So you're going to see all kinds of different variations of black and white. So you can choose a starting spot from there. Now under color, you can see that under artistic, you're going to see a much bigger color shift. These are obviously more stylistic. Personally, for me, I don't tend to edit this way because I like to keep my pictures a little more timeless. So as I'm going back through the years, it doesn't look like I have got a lot of different styles of edits, but that's all personal preference. You may like a more fine art approach. And what the nice thing is, so let's say I go down here, this seems to be very pinky purpley. They also give you the amount slider, so you can go all the way from 0. It starts in the middle at 100, and then you can go all the way up to 200. So you can really vary the amount of the effect in your photo. So they give you a lot of control here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and we'll look through modern here. So modern is more, the way they describe it is, it just looks more like the style that you'll see editing that's modern, that's in today's photography. So you can go through here and look at the different effects. Vintage is another option, and vintage is really patterned after analog cameras, so the film camera days. It's not really modern, it's not really patterned after any specific film stock, but it'll give you different looks, and then you can go in and you can add grain on top of it. So the nice thing is this profile is completely independent of all of the other editing panels. So you can change the tone curve, you can do all kinds of things without losing this initial look and feel. So as I went through this before, I really liked the look of Modern 09. So we're going to use that for this edit. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the before and after. So you can see Modern 09 gives it a nice matte black effect. It reduces a lot of the yellow orangey in his skin tone, and I like the way it makes his denim look over here. So you can look at it from 0 to 200. You can really give it a much bigger matte effect. I mean, I like it pretty much where it started, but maybe we'll just kind of bump it up just a little bit to give it a little bit more of a pronounced look for this demo. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and then I can go ahead and I can edit just like I always would. So if I want to brighten it up a little bit, I want to reduce the highlights, Another thing I like to do, I like to maybe add a little bit of clarity. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some grain. I've got a grain preset that I like here. And you can zoom in and kind of see what it looks like. You can look at it before and after. So I like the way that looks. Now, one of the great things about this is I'm going to close down the basic panel and I'm going to pop open the tone curve. So in the past, before the profiles, if I wanted a matte look, I could come down and I've got some different tone curves here. So let me show you fade. So fade ups your blacks and it kind of brings down your highlights and it gives you that matte effect. But then if I have a way to brighten my photo called luminous that I really like, but you can see that it completely takes away that matte effect. It changes the tone curve. I couldn't have both. I couldn't have that faded look and I couldn't have that luminous look. But with the profiles, I can start with that initial Modern 09, which is already a little bit matte, and then I can go brighten it up using my tone curve, and I don't lose anything from the profile that I chose. So that's a quick overview. Had I not been talking, this edit would have taken me about 30 seconds, and you can see I've got a very polished image that looks like I took a long time to edit, but really I just picked a profile, did a couple of tweaks, brightened it up with my tone curve, and called it a day. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if you've ever heard of this, if you've ever used it, and I'd love to see some of your pictures. All right, thanks and have a great day.